So, Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead has released and it is his first movie since the Snyder Cut spectacle. Army of the Dead stars Dave Bautista as the lead actor and other supporting actors. Yeah, that Dave Bautista. He has come through really well in this film. He has done a really good job. I wouldn't say a phenomenal job as it was in Guardians of the Galaxy where his range as an actor could be appreciated, but in this movie as his character didn't demand it, he did do justice to his character. Army of the Dead is also a film which is so typical of Zack Snyder, with so many slow-mo and out-of-focus shots, which is noticeably his signature style. But the interesting part is that Zack Snyder doesn't even believe that this is his favorite style. This is what he said in an interview with Wired.
People would think I was known for slow motion. I like slow motion. I don't really like slow motion that much. If you do a percentage of slow motion in my movies, I would think you'd find that it's 1% or something like that.
Okay, so you've seen Army of the Dead and what can you say about it? What I can honestly say about this film is that this film is plain fun. And that's it. This film is so exciting, beginning from how Zombie Zero got out, as I like to call it, to the opening montage, to the big zombie survival scene and the big explosion in the end. Oh, the child in me is so happy, and the fun just keeps coming. And why wouldn't it? This film is like an amalgamation of two other super fun movies with super fun plots. One, a bank heist movie set in Vegas, and another, a zombie survival movie set in Vegas. Put them together and this is the result. The plot goes like this. A retired military guy who is not satisfied with his life, seen that before, is brought out of retirement by a rich guy in a suit for a final job that will make the military guy very rich. Seen it. He has to assemble a team, which is not surprisingly his old fighting buddies, seen that too, to go and bring back a huge sum of money before it all goes boom. The rich guy has also planted an agent in the team with ulterior motives separate from that of the team, which he, surprise, ends up betraying, which adds to the climax. So all in all, we can say that the plot of the film was quite generic and nothing mind-blowing, but it was the visuals built around the plot that gave it its fun personality. There are also some details set in this film which our naked eyes would otherwise miss. These details are really crucial as they set this film up for sequels. Apart from the obvious Vanderhoof becoming a zombie in the end, which means that the story doesn't end here, we also see UFOs in the beginning, which means that Zombie Zero, nicknamed Zeus, could also be an alien. Bruh. Which makes sense as we have seen that these zombies are quite well organized with emotions and capable of reproducing. They also have some blue blood or life force, which if you think about it could be extraterrestrial. Another interesting detail is the inclusion of some sort of robot zombies, which we haven't seen before. Robot zombies. What a time to be alive. All this means that this film is definitely going to have a sequel. And all I hope is that this sequel is as fun or more fun than this movie and is not a big cliche like this movie is. And this is the main point that I have been building to in this video, that this film is a giant cliche. So far in the past few minutes I was going on and on about how fun this movie is. But I cannot help but be overwhelmed by the amount of cliches and useless elements that are there in this film that it thus gets annoying. Stuff like I've already mentioned, a retired fighter called out of retirement, bringing together his old team in a reunion fashion, rich corporate suit who is secretly evil, a lock-picking genius who is able to crack any lock in the world, a character with a special saw-wielding ability like in a video game. The time remaining to complete the mission is dangerously cut short only to give the feeling that the team will time fail, including Scott Ward's daughter only to provide a sense of family, and to finish it all off, a helicopter that just won't start until you actually need it. Just listing down the cliches sounds exhausting, but trust me, once you watch the film, it will wear you down. And the fact that this film is 148 minutes long just adds to that. There is absolutely no need for this film to be 148 minutes long. I can easily see this film being under 120 minutes and achieving the same thing if they remove all the unnecessary storytelling, slow-mo shots and out-of-focus shots. For example, the big story behind the driver that crashed into the military convoy is plain wasteful. Like, why get the audience invested in someone that you're going to blow up anyway? Now, in some situations, I wouldn't mind that, but if the runtime is going to be so long, I can do without it. Moving on to the most annoying character in the entire movie, Kate Ward, the daughter of Scott Ward, played by Ella Purnell. I have two main problems with her character. One, that she is way more immature than meets the eye, and not like the easily scared Dieter kind. And two, there wasn't enough backstory given for her to justify her trip into Vegas. By immature, I mean the scene where she just wouldn't understand what her father is trying to say about the zombie battle and still wants to go into Vegas. She hasn't been in a fight with zombies like her father has, and the closest she has come to zombies is at the edge of Vegas in a containment camp. Even her father showed the most amazing levels of lack of judgment by letting his only daughter tag along into Vegas after losing his wife. to the zombies. The second point is the lack of information that we have on her character, which kind of plays along the lines of the first point. It's just that I don't buy the fact that the only reason she ventured into the war zone was to rescue a refugee friend of hers whom she was close to, who went in herself and didn't come out and has children to look after. It may sound compelling, but logically, even without her venturing inside, her father has a greater chance and is better equipped to bring the refugee out. Still, I will say that her character did add some value to the movie. What I'm talking about is that after every member of the squad is compromised, she is the only one left standing to carry the story forward to the next film, if there ever is one. And since she had to put her father down just before he turned, the same way he did to her mother, it completes the circle in quite a pleasing manner. So maybe in the next film she's a lead character leading the fight against the zombies as a part of the government or a private resistance, whatever you want to call it, all in the honor of her father. Which means that her character is probably not a total waste after all. My last problem with the film is the futility of the mission to retrieve the money from the bank. I mean, you see Vanderho and Dieter finding the corpses of people sent before them to complete the task, during which you get a very deep, philosophical, thought-provoking conversation between them. And later on, we also see that Tanaka is not after the cash after all, but the head of the Alpha. So I thought, why you can send a team and mislead them to the vault only to achieve a completely different task? One reason could be to hit two birds with a single stone, get the cash and the Alpha head. But why is that even necessary? If he had sent a team specifically to retrieve the Alpha head and then come out none the wiser, and then send another team specifically to retrieve the cash all before the nuclear warning, it would have been so much simpler without any casualties. As if Tanaka actually cared about that. It's like the entire betrayal was totally unnecessary, even though it was thwarted in a really funny fashion. Still unnecessary. And blind Tanaka, why wouldn't he just give the combination to the vault beforehand? It's not like he doesn't have it. It would have reduced the runtime of the movie so much more. It's like only for the sake of an added thrill they had to include a combination lock. Okay, by this point you know a lot about Army of the Dead, directed by Zack Snyder, yada yada yada. But what's interesting is that this is not his first zombie movie. Back in 2004, he directed another zombie movie called Dawn of the Dead with a 7.3 rating on IMDb compared to 5.8 for Army of the Dead, with a runtime of almost a whole hour less. This means that Zack Snyder is not on foreign ground when it comes to zombie movies, which should have worked in his favor, but unfortunately it didn't in this film. And it also means that longer does not necessarily mean better. As long as you can tell the story in the most fascinating, suitable, and frankly the best way, getting rid of all the distractions and obligatory scenes, as Zack Snyder puts it.
So this is the obligatory warehouse scene where everyone gets together to find out what the plan for the movie is.
No scene should be obligatory for the sake of tradition. Every scene should have a bearing and should add value to the film. Even though in this film the warehouse scene was not totally out of place, it should not be for the sake of obligation. So as long as this is followed, that's what's most important. I love Zack Snyder as a director. He has worked on some really good movies, and I even consider his Man of Steel and his version of the Justice League to be the best films in DC ever. But Army of the Dead, it didn't quite come through. And with that, I rate this film a 5 out of 10. Mainly because of how fun it was watching it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Evan, your screen savant. Subscribe to this channel by hitting somewhere on my face. Hit the like button if you like this video and comment down below what did you think about Army of the Dead and which movie you'd like to see reviewed next.